Hello, family. We are meeting once again. My name is Brother Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier 4D. We've been talking about the um, spirit of fighting. Another word we could say is resisting things that are wrong. Spirit of resistance, spirit of fighting within the context of the Black African struggle. Um, when we talk about the points that I want to make in this one, I do not intend to be disrespectful. I do not intend to be vulgar or to be throwing stones at any particular group of people. I do not intend to uh, assume that the characteristics that I point out in these topics are to be personal. This is not to be personal. This is not assuming that everybody's wrong in one race and everybody's right in another race. That some people are not, in the European race, they're not carrying out things against the African race. And then there are some people in the African race that are not carrying out atrocities on their own people. So I want you to know it's not a blanket uh, situation. It's just a situation to point out some of the ill wills and wrongs that have happened historically that cause us, that affects our behavior in the current day, in the present day. And that, speaking of our past history of slavery and colonization, we have some traumatic after effects for that. And the reason why I speak on self-hate and speak on self-love, like I said earlier, that we have problems within the African family, the family of slave descendants and the family of those that have descended from colonizers. We have some traumatic after effects that cause us not to be able to come together as we should and to build our nation as we should, and to bring those who have suffered back into the fold, into the family. So some of us are doing that, but some of us aren't. Some of us are still working as the mind of those that are colonized or that were enslaved, to where we bring hardships on our own people. So this topic that I'm dealing with is being able to battle those things that are not right in ourselves, in our minds, as we interact with our fellow man, our fellow brothers that look like us. So I use examples and illustrations from scripture, and I use examples and illustrations from personal experiences that I've witnessed firsthand. And so when I come with these lessons, it's not to beat down people who are guilty of these things, but to hope that they can see these things and change, because we have to go forward and we have to do well, and we have to do it in a spirit of love. But at the same time, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a fight. So I come at you from that spirit, and you can take it from there how you want to take it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you love it, you love it. If you're on the fence about it, you're on the fence. So I said that just because some of the things in here may be hard hitting. So I'm trying to get you prepared for it. So even a little one can watch it and not you feel like, oh, Brother Jamal, that's too hard for my little one. No, I'm gonna try to walk that tightrope, because I can put the hammer down, but I'm gonna try to walk a tightrope on such sensitive topics. Now, let's move on. Let's get on with this, because I might have to go to part 3, because I'm spending time to say this. My time is short. So let's see where we are. Okay, so I will start off with a scripture coming out of the book. Well, I will just narrate what happened in the first chapter of Exodus. They said there arose a king in the land of Egypt that knew not Joseph, that knew not the contributions that Joseph and his family had made during their sojourn in Egypt. The dreams and interpretations that he brought, the helping them through the famine. There rose a king who did not know Joseph. And in so doing, he began to bring hardship on the children of Israel according to the story. This is no stone thrown to Egyptians today, okay? We're just talking about a story here. And I'm trying to use it for an example. So it says that the hardships came on them because they were a perceived threat, because they continued to multiply. And they began to grow strong and mighty, more so than the nationals there. And the national people are looking at them like, hey, man, this is our country. We should be benefiting from it more so than people who weren't even really born here. And so when you know the history of what has happened to people, you can kind of get an idea of what could happen to us as Africans in the present day. So these things are likely to repeat themselves, and we won't want to be caught with our pants down. And if this ugly head rears itself once again. So, strength of character leads into being able to resist and battle when the tide is turned against us, or we are disenfranchised, or we feel like we're getting the short end of the stick. So the ability to battle in that becomes natural. It's natural to, when we get sick in our body, to fight off the germs that invade our immune system. We go to battle. Our immune system goes to battle. It's called self-preservation. It's just nature. Nature kicks in. If we can't do it, we go get antibiotics. So likewise, when we become within our own families, within our own race. Now, I'm dealing with straight Africans. I'm not talking about Europeans. I'm not talking about Chinese. Today, we're talking about black on black, African on African destruction. We're talking about how we interact and deal with our fellow man. So battling has to begin with ourselves first. It has to begin with ourselves. We have to be able to deal with our envy, our own lust, our own greed, our own covetousness. Covetousness is one thing I hardly ever hear preachers talk about in the church, but covetousness is just a form of lust or form of desire or obsession with something someone else has that you want to make it your own. Like if you want their wife, their girlfriend, you want their job, you want their position, you want their presidential office, you covet those things. Now you want to thrive to do things the right way in order to become the person that takes over a nation, but as far as somebody's wife, somebody's family, those are off limits. Those are none of yours. So you shouldn't be conniving trying to do that. But that happens. And so when we talk about enemies within, we're talking about the enemies within our own body and then the enemies within our own community. So those kind of enemies is what these topics are trying to gear toward. And we also talk about the source of why some of these come about, because of our sojourn in slavery and our trying to overcome it, and our sojourn in colonization trying to overcome that. Some of those things that happen to us psychologically causes us to take some of our aggression out on our own people because of whatever anger we have picked up from that and whatever devaluing we do towards each other, because we start seeing each other the way our oppressors have seen us, and we get treat each other like our oppressors have seen us. So we have internalized over time a hate that becomes displaced on our own people. People say, why do black people kill each other so much? Why do we go after each other? Why do we undo and overturn what we try to do that's good for each other? Why somebody come and overturn it? Because of that spirit of hate, that jealous, that thing that's inside of us. So the ability to battle has to be based and comes out of a value system of love of self, love of your culture, love of your heritage, love of peace, safety, and welfare. Those things, if those things are threatened, we begin to battle naturally. So the battling is not something where you go out aggressively and just start fights. It comes to your doorstep. The wickedness comes to your doorstep. And when it comes to your doorstep, you just have to be able to deliver. You have to be able to just pick and choose how you're going to take that battle up. One of the things that we want to point out is that whenever you have strength of character that can help build a community, build a person, build his fellow man, weakness of character does the opposite. It tears down our fellow man. It's traitorous to our fellow man. It deceives. So love builds up, constructs. Love nurtures. Hate takes away. Hate begat hate. Love begat love. So within our minds as African people, we have to learn specifically how to love each other, because we have been taught so many different ways to hate what and who we are. And only God can come and give us the kind of love that we need, and it's also circulates through our own people, so that when we give out love, love comes back in return. We give it out, it comes back. We give out hate, it comes back to destroy us. You give out love, it comes back and loves us. And even giving love, you could get hate in return. But the ultimate champion is love. Greater love hath no man than to lay down his life for his brother. There's not too many of us that's going to do that. But the message is there. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and strength. Love thy neighbor as thyself. But this hangeth all the law and the prophets. So if you have that, you hang all the law and the prophets. That's all you need. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But never allow anyone to do to you what you wouldn't do to yourself or to other people. These are the previous topics we talked about, or previous points we made in our lessons. And I'm saying all this to go into part 3 of the battle, to be able to battle, to be able to resist, to be able to fight for what's right, be able to fight those evil things within ourselves, be able to fight those evil things in our own fellow man, our own brother, be able to fight those evil things in our villages, be able to fight those evil things in our community, be able to fight those evil things in our nation. Being able to battle with the self, be able to battle within. Then we can talk about how to battle from without. So in part 3, we're going to talk about some of the weaknesses of character that are going to cause us not to be able to be successful. I talked about this scripture about Jacob. When the king, there was a king that knew not Joseph, that arose. And the hardships that he put on those people caused the people's character to be shaped a certain way. And we'll get into that in our next lesson, because I have a point to make, but I'm not finished with that yet. So we'll revisit this in part 3 of this topic 5. Peace, love, God bless you. Thanks for joining us.